Welcome to our YouTube channel, where wisdom meets inspiration. In this channel, we share valuable insights to help you become the best version of yourself. Our content is designed to uplift your spirit and enrich your life. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay connected with this incredible journey. Click the subscribe button below.
Namaste, Mother.
Namaste.
This is a special podcast on how to instill values in our children and the younger people, and how exactly we can do it in the modern challenging times. So, Mataji, let's start with how to instill values in our children and how to create the right sanskaras.
That's the most important question. So, how do we instill values? See, it's a famous saying that the values cannot be actually taught, but they can be caught.
Okay.
Which means you create an atmosphere around them where children are very sensitive. The mind is very sensitive at a young age. So they are able to catch something very ideal.
Yes.
If you can create that kind of an atmosphere around them, then it is possible to instill values. Because children are not going to just listen to what you say, they are going to see. And so, what do we actually work upon is, you work upon the atmosphere in your home. Keep some spiritual books there. Show your children that how much you appreciate the values of the Ramayana. Show your love for spirituality. Naturally, they will imbibe that. You know that these things stay throughout life. So later on in life, they will remember how much my mother appreciated this. So which means this is something so good in life, something so valuable. So this naturally comes into them if we give them those kinds of exposures at home.
Okay.
It creates their value system. It happens unconsciously actually at home. Second thing I would say is make sure you spend quality time with your children.
Right.
Many parents don't do this because young adults are usually chasing a career and that becomes the priority in life. But once there is a child at home, you must make sure that quality time is spent with that child, because please remember, it's a very true thing that a family that prays together stays together. A family that eats together will remain physically and mentally healthy.
Okay.
So at the table you sit together, and that exchange that takes place on the table, if it's something very positive, along with the food, the child is ingesting a whole lot of great ideas.
Yes.
And a family that reads together before it retires will have common values. Because again, inspiring things you are sharing together. And over the weekends, more time with your children.
Yes.
So this should be very compulsory. Yeah.
So basically we have to show them how to do it.
Yeah. This is the second point. The third point I would say is, you give them very good role models. How do you give them role models? Children will pick up anything from the internet, from the television. But the appreciation you will show to a particular role model is what is the value they imbibe. So now suppose you are seeing Ramayana together and you show your appreciation of the great values which Sri Ram or Mother Sita embodies. That enters into the very genes of the child.
So Mataji, how does a sanskar arise?
No, but wait, these methods, when you repeat these values, it will lead to a sanskar. We will go deeply into sanskars. But primarily, please understand, these methods are, if you make it possible to do this at home, I can assure you the child will have very good values. The appreciation the parent shows towards a great value is what the child imbibes. So the parents are creating the value system of the child unconsciously. But if we ourselves are not sensitive to these high values, then the child will not know. You set the bar, the standard for your child. Deeply, in a psychological way, you affect the value system of your child by the appreciation you show to particular things and the depreciation you will show to whatever is opposite to that. So you don't actually have to teach that to the child. Like if you teach them how to respect the great ideals of say, Ramayana, Sri Ram, Mother Sita. You don't have to teach them why you should hate Ravan. You don't have to teach them. Automatically that will happen.
Yes.
So these are the ways in which values are transmitted. Another thing is the role models in the form of pictures, images should be around them. Don't make it a weekend affair or just a Sunday class thing. These things are to be discussed, the images are to be placed around them so that their senses are inspired by great ideas. The fourth point I would say is, in the case of children, they look into their friends, whose company they keep. Even at school, all of us are very interested in putting our children into good schools, but the company they keep an eye on that. And make sure it is a company which will really help your child grow inwardly. Then expose them to, the fifth point I would say is expose them to music, elevating good music and some form of sport to build their physical and mental life. You know, music rewires the brain itself. So many studies.
Anything creative, Mother?
Anything creative, but music has deep impact on the young mind. So these things, if you can place all these things strategically around the child, the first 7 years, the child's mind gets conditioned along very high values, naturally. And I told you what you will appreciate, what you will prioritize, what you will show affection towards, that the child will imbibe. That becomes its value. So make sure that our own emotions, see, once the child has come into the house, we really need to grow up. It is very important. If we are just completely indisciplined in our own lives, you cannot instill value in your child.
So Mataji, how does a sanskar arise?
Sanskars arise by repetition of thoughts and actions. Because what is actually a sanskar is, it is a mental impression, a deep-rooted mental impression, or you can say a mental imprint of repetitive thought and action. Now, see, I can give you a whole lot of information on sanskars. There are two ways in which sanskars have been interpreted in our texts. One is, what is commonly understood as sanskars are the Hindu sacraments or rituals, which were, it's there in the Gautama Dharma Sutras. There are 40 sanskars mentioned. Then there are, in the Grihya Sutras, there are 16 sanskaras mentioned. They are talking about the sacraments which appear like milestones in an individual's development. So before the child is born, what are the samskars to be followed? There are 4 in number actually. After the birth of the child, there are 11 samskars to be followed until he reaches manhood. You must have heard of it. This Jata Karma and Upanayan Sanskar and Vivaha, all these are considered samskars. So they are ritual practices or sacraments meant to instill specific sentiments, condition specific emotions into the child's mind so that they serve as milestones in his growth. And after death also there is one sanskar, which is the Shraddha sanskar is to be performed. So this is the general understanding of sanskars which most people have. But psychological aspect of sanskars, we are not paying much attention to that. That psychological aspect is the most important thing. Sanskar is nothing but a mental imprint which is created by repetitive thought and action. So what happens is, due to this imprint, due to this strong, you can say, stamp on the mind, there is a certain predisposition the child develops. And it manifests as behavioral traits, it manifests as responses, states of mind. So the basic psychology of a child is nothing but the sanskar backpack it is carrying. Vivekananda in fact used to say, character is nothing but a bundle of sanskars. So unless we have worked on the psychological aspect of sanskars, which means repetitive thought along higher lines, and good actions, unless these are there in the life of the parent and the child, the right sanskar will not blossom forth.
So Mataji, if I want to change the tendencies of my child's mind and imbibe high values in him, so we have to develop, what is the right age to start with?
Right age is right from birth. From birth till the age of 7. In fact, in Hindu psychology, it is even before birth. It is so important that the mother is exposed to the right things, so that the prenatal influence is huge on the child, on the growing fetus in the womb.
Yes.
The influence is so huge that if the mother's mind is imbued with very high thoughts, beautiful emotions, sweet sentiments, if she lives that kind of a sattvic life, you can be sure the impact on the child will be very good.
So the child grasps even in the womb, Mataji?
Why not? Why not? See, the mind influences mind. It's a word of influence.
Yes.
And that at that period, the child and the mother are one. So whatever the mother ingests, in some way percolates into the child. Physically, mentally, even the food you take, the atmosphere you live in, the thoughts you encourage, the feelings you have at that time, all of them will leave their subtle imprints on the child's growing mind. The brain is just forming. Brain is the hardware, as it were, of the mind. So those thoughts exactly, they work on the entire growing fetus. And so what happens is, at birth, further when you surround the child with love and this kind of a high idealism, surround their life completely with a pure kind of love, naturally they will blossom into very idealistic human beings. So this is a possibility. The only problem happens is when we don't understand this psychological framework of the child. If the parents are busy with their jobs and the child is totally ignored, this is happening in many homes.
Yes, Mataji.
So what happens due to that is the child is at the mercy of
The
multimedia. Yes. And it is seeing anything, ingesting anything into its system. Till the age of 7, you have to pay attention to the exposures of the child. Because by the age of 7, its psychological template is created. Now, whatever it will gather after that, it places in that template and draws a kind of value system out of it. But this basic, you can say, foundational stones for higher character, higher development come till before the age of 7. You have to lay those stones. And the mother is the closest to the child, and the primary school teacher. So these are the two torchbearers of change. You want to change our societies, you must go back to paying attention to these factors. In fact, in many countries all over the world, the primary school teachers are very highly paid because they understand this influence.
Yes.
They are actually creating the psychology of the child. The mother and the primary school teacher in a big way influence the psychology of the child. The mother should be a conscious, mature, emotionally well-developed adult with high emotional intelligence for great value to blossom in the child.
Yes, Mataji. And Mataji, what is the role of emotional intelligence?
Highest role, I would say, because emotional intelligence is that form of intelligence where the positivity of the mother's emotion is creating the psychological traits of the child.
Yes.
उनके जो हाव भाव है, माँ के जो हाव भाव है, actually gets transmitted into the child. The love she shows for particular characters, the appreciation she shows to great values, that is what the child actually imbibes and absorbs. So, actually speaking, personality traits and behavioral patterns of the mother will definitely impact the child. And if something like Vedanta and high emotional development is there in the mother, just imagine the impact on the child.
Sure.
I can tell you a story here if you would.
Yes, Mataji, please.
This is the story of Madalasa. It is there in Markandeya Puran, in our scriptures. It's a very beautiful story. It's a story of a great queen mother. Madalasa was a queen. She was the wife of a king called Ritadwaj. And they were such a beautiful couple. They believed in giving great values to their children. So when the first child was born, he was named Vikrant. And Madalasa when she put the child in the cradle first, that small baby, she would sing lullabies every day for the child. And what would she sing? It's there on YouTube, you can watch it and see. She would sing Shuddhosi, Buddhosi, Niranjanosi. samsara maya parivarjitosi, which means you are the pure one. You are the most intelligent one. You are Brahman itself, consciousness itself. You are divine by nature. And Niranjanosi, you are the pure, untouched, unsullied light of the divine.
So beautiful.
And Samsara Maya, you are untouched by Maya. She would sing like this to that baby. And when this child grew up, he not only quickly picked up statecraft, administrative duty, all that the prince has to know, but he became a child of great values automatically. Because this was the education the mother imparted right from babyhood. And the next 3 children of Madalasa, the next 2 children also grew up like this. They became great rishis of the land. And then when the 4th son was born, she named him Alark, which is not a very good name in Sanskrit. It actually means a mad dog.
Okay.
Now the king was taken aback. Ritadhwaj was very taken aback why she is naming him like that. And then she said, because I want him to understand names and forms don't matter. Let him go a little above name and form and feel his essence. So anyway, Ritadhwaj then trains this child to become the next king, because the first 3 sons become very great spiritual stalwarts, rishis of the land. So then Alark is brought up to manage the kingdom, but the impact of the mother has been so great that after he has fulfilled his kingly duties, every day he goes into meditation. And then after a certain age, he leaves the kingdom in very good hands, in the hands of his well-trained sons, and then he again retires into a life of what we call Vanaprastha. And they all became very great rishis of the land just because right from babyhood, this is the influence falling on them. This is a world of influences, what you will expose your child repeatedly to, and what will actually be your bhav, that will enter the child.
So it's very important.
Very important.
Our thoughts as mothers are very focused.
All great men have said this, Napoleon Bonaparte said this, give me great mothers, I will give you a great nation. Napoleon. He didn't say, give me a great army or a great economy. You would have expected him to say that, but he didn't say that. I can now also tell you about Abraham Lincoln. He would say that whatever I am and whatever I can hope to be, it is all due to my angelic mother. And Vivekananda, of course, said that the fulfillment of womanhood lies in great motherhood. Whatever I am, it's due to my mother. So all great men have paid this homage to mother because her influence is really tremendous. Tremendous.
So Mataji, can you tell us a few practical steps on how every day we can do this?
Well, I told you initially, you have to keep that atmosphere at home. And you have to make sure ideal role models are given to children. Those are the points we discussed in the beginning of the podcast. In addition to that, I would also add that see how exactly a sanskar blossoms forth in the life of a child. This is to be understood. There are different kinds of sanskars. When the child begins its education, it gains what are called vidya sanskars. And when at that time, if that Upanayan ceremony is performed, it's a way of instilling into the child a spiritual sanskar. You are giving him the Gayatri. He is now praying for higher spiritual knowledge, for the awakening of the Dhi. It's a huge sanskar. Along with the Vidya sanskars, it also develops spiritual knowledge, spiritual learning. It becomes sensitive to that, the child. So these things, that's why they should not be ignored. We insist upon this. This is why gradually they are like milestones in a child's development. And then how exactly a sanskar plays out, we have huge yoga psychology, you see, in our spiritual heritage. They are actually pointing out how a sanskar plays out in one's life. There is an unmanifest stage. It is called prasupta, udara, vichinna, all these concepts are there, where the sanskar is not yet manifested but growing within the subconscious. At some point of time, when the conditions are congenial, it will manifest. So when it is still dormant and unmanifest, have you done something to purify it, to ennoble it, to raise it? So that is why these jata karmas are there. You put such impact on the child's mind that his orientation of his will is towards the highest. Naturally, he will become a truthful, honest, integrated person. If we totally ignore the childhood of children and we feel, well, only the analytical intelligence is important, then it shows that we are very extremely insensitive, I would say. A child who is raised in a sensitive environment like this will become a man of values. And a child who is raised in an insensitive environment will become a man of permissive values. And what will happen as a result is he will undermine family values also. He will become a problem to himself and his society. So that period, at least to the age of 8, you have to take care.
So this is a very sensitive
Very sensitive time, and it's a time when the childhood of that child is to be celebrated, the innocence, the purity, the beauty of it. And just give protection, care, love and high values. Surround the child with that. And you see the magic of it. In fact, we have even seen this physical growth. The child will grow very well if it is mentally assured or well secure and protected. And if that is not there, see, where values are not there, the child feels mentally insecure. Have you seen this? Yes. It will get angry, it will show negative emotions, it will show all that if it doesn't see some great value. And when it sees a great value, it becomes peaceful and calm. A child which has experienced this kind of deep love and value at that age will become a man of great values in the future, become a very stable individual. And a child which is deprived of these in childhood is going to become an angry man. A revengeful, that kind of a psychology develops. So childhood exposure to good, noble things and surrounding the child with love and values is
very important.
Very, very important.
So creating the right atmosphere for children right from the beginning is very important.
Absolutely. It goes without saying. Otherwise, we will pay for it. There's a saying, Dharmo rakshati rakshita. Dharmo hantaram hanti, which means dharma protects him who protects his dharma. Motherhood is a great dharma. Parenthood is a great dharma in itself, because you are actually creating the psychology of the next generation, isn't it? Yes. You are framing the next generation. So then you have to fulfill that duty. It comes with the vows of marriage, isn't it?
Yes.
So attention has to be paid. Many families I see ignoring this entirely. So that is why it's good you created a podcast like this.
So Mataji, the commitment towards children is very important from the parents' part.
Absolutely.
And so thank you so much, Mataji, for enlightening us on this, how to bring up children and showing us and creating the right sanskars. So I hope this helps everybody, Mataji. Yes. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Become Swami Vivekananda's messenger. Share the video with 3 of your friends.